Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Karim Kanji. Welcome back to X Connect. Today's show is all about travel and social media. We have today a good friend of mine, Alicia from Flight Centre Canada.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for agreeing to come last minute.
Of course.
Really appreciate it. And as most people know, or at least as Greg knows, you've got my job. If I wasn't doing this, what you do is really what I would love to do.
Okay.
Travel and tweeting is what I say you do.
Pretty much.
But I know you do a lot more.
Right.
And so you're the social media specialist for Flight Centre Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What is your role?
So basically, I manage the social media strategy for the Flight Centre brands in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just Flight Centre. They actually own a brand called My Adventure Store. They have a brand called Cruise About, and they just acquired a brand called Go Volunteering. So it's for people that want to, travel and volunteer.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I basically manage all their social channels for that, their blogs, create video content, and obviously manage their Twitter accounts. But yeah, it's fun. I get to work with a lot of different marketing teams and different people.
Excellent. And I want to talk about some of these different brands and maybe some of the different voices you probably have,
Yes.
which is important. But I think there's a really neat story in how you actually got the job. I had known Greg for a while, and I know they were doing a campaign called Best Travel Job Ever.
Yes.
.com, and you were not yet with Flight Centre at that time, if I understand.
Nope, I was actually traveling in Australia, and my mom forwarded me an email saying, hey, check out this competition, you should apply for it. Because when I was in Australia, I was travel blogging, and I was creating video content, and I was writing for MTV Canada back here.
Okay.
Creating content for them on their blog. And yeah, my mom's like, you should apply for this. So I was like, all right, so I applied. Didn't really think I would, even make it into the top 25. I found out about it super late, but I did. I made it into the top 25. I ended up winning a trip to California out of it, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and after that, I was like, hey, this is a cool brand. I like what they're doing here. So I kind of kept my eyes on them after that.
Okay. Now, so you were in Australia, and were you blogging for yourself and MTV? What was that all about?
Yeah, so I actually was working in television, and I was working for MTV, and then I decided, I want to travel, so I quit my job at MTV, and I went to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I created my own blog about traveling in Australia. I was creating videos and just, sort of writing about my experience, moving there and picking up my life and moving there for, 6-7 months. And MTV was kind of watching what I was doing, and so they said, we have this blog that we just started, and we'd love for you to be a contributor. So I was a regular contributor to their MTV Fora, which was their online magazine.
Okay.
So it's like this really beautiful flash format. I loved the way that the articles appeared because you could move Polaroids around on the page. And
interesting.
I worked with their design team to kind of create, interactive pieces that I would write for them. So I did everything from, Australian cuisine to fashion to, just what it was like to pick up your life and move to Australia from my point of view. So it was awesome. They were paying me to create, and that's when I realized when I was in Australia and I was getting paid to do this stuff for MTV, I was like, okay,
there's something there.
This is cool that you can get paid to do this. So I was kind of hungry to do more.
And then your mom forwards you this email or note about what Flight Centre is doing. You apply, get to the top 25.
Right.
You now owe your mom big time, I guess.
I guess.
For that. So your mom still gets you work, eh?
Yeah. She's kind of responsible for, for me being
and so what happened then? You won the trip to California. Did you have to do anything?
Yeah, on that trip I was basically doing live video updates, tweeting, blogging. It was kind of the Flight Centre road trip, if you will.
Okay.
So it started in San Francisco, and I drove down the Pacific Coast Highway, and it ended in LA. And then I spent a few days in LA, and then I flew back.
And then you flew back. And then what happened then? How did your experience with Best Travel Job Ever and then that Flight Centre branded trip to California result in you getting the job?
So pretty much when I came back from that trip, Flight Centre had an open call to basically Greg Tilson, who's the global social media leader. He was having this open call to hire social media specialists in all the major countries that Flight Centre operates. And they were hiring someone here in Toronto. So I was like, oh man, this job has my name on it.
Yeah.
And I basically told him, I'm applying for this position. And at the time when I had come back, I went back to working for MTV. And I already had a job. So it's not like I really needed a job. But I was like, this is a cool thing. social media was still so new, and
Yeah.
it was a job that hadn't really existed in many companies yet. So, I applied for the position, and 2 interviews later, I got a phone call saying, "Do you want to come join the team?" And I was floored. I didn't think I was going to get it because I knew I was up against some really heavy hitters and big social media people here in Toronto. But I guess they kind of looked at my track record of what I was able to do with the previous experiences. And I also, had a YouTube up and running, a blog up and running. So the application process was really cool. It was literally in 140 characters, tell us why you want this job, and then give us links to your blog, your YouTube, your Twitter, because they kind of, and I like that approach.
It's a social media resume.
It really was, because it's if you say you love social media, prove it. We want someone that's actually living and breathing social media. That's not just, I enjoy social media. Everyone's a social media guru these days.
Sure.
So, they really wanted to just prove it. And I thought, wow, the work's already done. I've already done all this work to create all this content. All I have to do is showcase it.
That's awesome.
So it was really an easy application process. And like I said, I got the call and I was like, oh my God. So I was like, can I call you back? I actually didn't think I was going to get this call, and I had to really make this huge life decision. Am I going to leave the TV world for good to take on this role? And my gut feeling just said go for it. So here I am.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
So I want to ask you a question about that application process and what companies today are asking for. I'm sure at Flight Center, your team, or maybe Greg's team, has continued to hire people as people transition, and obviously there's other brands that are hiring people as well, and they're looking for people to fill the role that you have at Flight Center. And I haven't seen, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen companies actually ask for, give us your social profiles, give us where you're blogging, give us your account so we can take a look at who you are online, so we can see whether or not we want someone like that to represent our brand. I don't know if you've seen other brands. There's been
a few, but I guess it depends if the company wants that person to be the face of their company, or if they just want them to manage the strategy, with marketing and just, manage and talk to the customers. I guess it kind of is about if they want that person to be, on camera and hosting things. And a lot of my role now at Flight Center is on camera and hosting things. It's at travel expos, interviewing people on camera for live webcasts. It's, going into destination and shooting videos. So I guess they kind of need to see that you're okay with doing that sort of stuff. But for a role where, not all social media positions are like that. Sometimes you're literally just sitting in offices and managing,
managing the accounts and all these different sort of things.
Management,
Interesting. And so one of the things I guess that comes up is crisis. And I recall there's something that happened. I can't remember if it was just weather or if it was something with a cruise ship or whatnot. But I remember whether it was talking with you or talking with Greg about this crisis management that had to take place. So I'm very curious. How do you manage crisis management, and what's actually entailed in that? And I don't know if you're able to give a case study on that.
Well, there's been a few since I've started here, actually, but they, especially with weather, when I first started, there was the big floods in Brisbane, and there was tons of people that were being evacuated from their homes, and it affected people's travel. And then, there's tsunami warnings where, airports are being shut down. So I work closely with our PR and communications manager, Alison Wallace, who works out of our Vancouver office. And I really rely on her to get the up-to-minute, updates of what's closed, what's not. And basically the great thing about social media is I can give people those instantaneous updates. There's even, situations where Air Canada will go on strike. And, we have a great relationship with them. So they actually, one time their frontline consultants went on strike, and they said, if you need to reschedule something, call Flight Center, and they will, whether you book through Flight Center or not, they basically gave our agents complete access to the Air Canada network to be able to go in and change people's flights because, a bunch of people had to, fix things or change their travel plans. So that's a great example of how working with the supplier and being able to get the message out, and they sent it on their social networks to let their people know that we were the ones handling it during this circumstance. So it's really, you do have to act quickly, but I think if you have a team of people in place to sort of make sure it's executed properly, then it can be done successfully for sure.
So how many people are on your team?
So Greg is the global social media leader, and then I really work closely with our marketing team, which is probably about a team of 8 now, and it's growing constantly. We just hired a new online marketing manager, and the team's always growing. But in terms of just managing the social strategy, it's pretty much just me, and I work closely with the online marketing manager as well. And then I, sometimes will take on interns to sort of help me out. I love teaching people, especially if they're interested in travel and the tourism industry and social media.
Yeah.
And I've had a few really great interns that have come in, and I love teaching them all the new things and tricks and tips, and having them hone their blogging skills and telling their travel experiences.
Nice.
And then they come away with it with an actual portfolio of things that they produce, not just for our blog, but for their own blogs and stuff as well.
So when something happens, like on the other side of the world in Australia, and we're here in Toronto, how do you manage that? I'm assuming it's not, start working 9 and leave at 5.
No, social media is definitely not 9 to 5. That's something I've learned. There's been times, I'm up, after hours at home doing, updates and letting people know what's going on. But we also have a team of people that work in Australia, that work in the UK, that work in, New Zealand and all these other time zones. So they're able to kind of, when I'm out of office, sort of take over the reins, and I can say, okay guys, here's where I've left off. If you can continue and monitor this and keep our customers, well aware of what's going on. If there's someone from Canada that needs some help, if you can deal with it while we're out of office, that'd be great.
Sure.
So
that's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's interesting because it is a global brand.
It is, yeah.
Right. I'm curious about the community manager. There's obviously all this content creation, whether it's videos or blogs or updates on Facebook or I don't know if you guys are are using Pinterest at all or other platforms.
I'm all over Pinterest.
You're all over that place.
I love pinning.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so let's talk about Pinterest.
Yes.
What have you seen? And so that's there's always debate around things like Pinterest.
Yeah.
Because I think the early companies such as Facebook and Twitter, it almost seems to be mandatory, to utilize those platforms. And I can see YouTube as well, but Pinterest. So the question is, why Pinterest, and what have you seen from it, and what has it given to the brand?
Well, I've noticed that a lot of our customers put together Pinterest boards of places they want to go travel. So that's a perfect opportunity for me to get in there and comment and say things about those destinations, or give them links to, maybe destination guides or some information on our website about those destinations to help make that dream become a reality.
Wow.
So in that, and it's pretty much across the board, everyone has a travel board. It's they call it their bucket list, or they call it places I want to go, or places to see before I die. Everyone usually has one on their Pinterest board. So that's a great opportunity for me, to get in there. And also on Pinterest, I can create different boards for different types of travelers. Someone might be into cruising, and another person might be into adventure travel. Someone might be looking for destination wedding locations. Another one might be looking for the best beaches. So I can put together different boards that are going to attract different people. And all of those photos that we post link back to a blog where you can now read more about it and get more information. So it's cool. It's an interesting space, and but it's a visual space. And at the end of the day, travel is a visual thing as well. Like, people love to see a photo of Machu Picchu or some amazing destination, and boom, that's going on their bucket list. So yeah, I love it. It's great.
And
I'm all over it.
And so the community management aspect. So being there and responding and encouraging certain types of activity or action. Whether it is entering campaigns or whatnot. How do you manage it? Curious. Everything from what are some of the tactics that you use? What are some of the tools that you like to use?
Well, Hootsuite's one for sure.
Okay.
In terms of marketing, there's certain campaign requirements I have to get out every month. So key messages of maybe sales we have that month, or just destination stuff of suppliers we're working with. And what I do is, don't tell Scott Stratton this, but I do schedule the campaign stuff for the month so that I know that what we've promised suppliers is going out. On top of that, though, there's, the day-to-day things. So if I know, usually we have campaigns every month where it's about a particular particular destination, like the South Pacific, for example. And I'll try and create engagement around the South Pacific. So I'll ask people engaging questions about it. I'll post engaging photos, videos, and just get people talking about that destination, because in a way that's kind of selling the campaign,
sure,
you know, without selling it to them. It's just getting them talking about it and thinking about a destination they might not have thought about. So that's kind of what I do on a month-to-month basis, is just work with our marketing team in terms of what are the destinations we're trying to highlight this month, and how can we achieve it. And then on top of that, it's just, you know, the day-to-day management from a customer service standpoint, you know, just making sure that we're answering people's questions. You know, I don't like to leave anything unanswered. Everything gets commented, even if, you know, I'm just liking something that they've said. I want them to know that we read it and we acknowledged it. Yeah. So,
Is there are you the type of person that likes to, or is Flight Center the type of brand that likes to be on top of it, or do you say, you know what, it is literally 1 o'clock in the morning, someone's written something, and you know, whether it might be something neutral, it might just be, I like this page, or I want to go to wherever. Do you respond right away on things? Do you say, you know what, someone else is going to talk to me, we don't really need to be there right now?
Well, that's what helps about having the global team in place. So I know when I'm out of office at 1 a.m. that Australia is on the clock. So if they see someone yelling out, you know, F you, Flight Center, for example, they can say, hi, we spotted your unhappy tweet. Is there something we can help you with? So I know that they're going to monitor that stuff when I'm out of office, but I'm also responsible to make sure that I'm monitoring when they're out of office as well. So it really is a team effort, and the team is really what makes the strategy so successful. And we have, it's so important for us to communicate too. We have a big Skype chat where we constantly will let, you know, information know. So it's all the girls from and boys from the country, that all different countries, where we talk in the Skype chat. And then we do a monthly call at the beginning of every week to sort of say what's coming down the pipeline and how we can support each other in our countries with our various marketing initiatives. And then, and the other part is just really, we just connect on social media. So, you know, I'm friends with all these people on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll have little chats back and forth here and there, and it's awesome. I love our team. We're having a conference coming up in December, actually, where the whole team from around the world comes together, and we just, you know, we do about 2 solid days of like work and workshopping and chatting things through what we want to do for the future and challenges we have, and then the other 2 days are usually just play. So last time we went to San Francisco, and we went to Facebook and Google's head offices, and just got to chat with all those people behind all the tools we're using, like Radian 6. We got to meet that whole team of people. It was awesome. It's great.
Nice. And where's this year's?
This year, Greg won't tell us, but I'm pretty positive it'll probably be out west at a ski resort, because
that's in the winter.
He's all about skiing.
He's all about skiing.
He's all about skiing.
Even in the summer, he's all about the skiing, which I think he did in Dubai.
Yes, he did. Inside. They
Inside. Had I saw a picture. He was nuts.
It's crazy.
You had mentioned something there about scheduling posts.
Yes.
And there are those that frown upon that as, you know, just scheduling. No, you should never do it, and I will sit on that. And my opinion has always been, listen, if the opportunity is there, and if companies, you know, like Hootsuite are, you know, have this option, then there must be a reason for it. And, you know, obviously you can't schedule community.
No.
But you can schedule posts that go out that, you know, there's a message there.
Exactly.
So I'm interested in sort of your philosophy on scheduled posts.
Well, this has been chatted about lately, and it's got a lot of people talking, and I think it has to be done in moderation. And I think you need to, for new people coming into social media, they need to understand that you can't schedule engagement, you can't schedule community, like you're saying. So you have to be present, and it is important to understand that building a following takes time, and once you get to that point where you've built your following and you're continuing to grow, obviously the workload becomes twice as much. You have twice as many customers coming and chatting with you. So having certain things scheduled, like the marketing messages, that I think is okay, because a lot of the times those aren't super engaging. People follow a lot of travel brands for the fact that they have travel deals, and I know that. So in this situation, it's like if it's just a travel deal going out here and there, scheduling that is fine. But if I want to create discussion and engagement about something, I need to be present. You can't schedule a question and then people answer you, and then 4 hours later you get back to them about it. So I definitely think it needs to be done in moderation.
There's a place and a time for it, of course.
Exactly. But it's, you know, for someone like me who's managing multiple brands, it's a necessity. It's an absolute necessity. And when people are like, oh, you shouldn't schedule anything at all, I'm like, come work in my position for one day and tell me that scheduling is not possible. You just, I physically can't be present in all of those places at once.
I think, especially for what you do, I think scheduling allows you to actually be more engaging.
Yes.
Because you don't have to worry about, sorry guys, I can't talk, I need to get 5 messages out from 5 different brands out at this moment because we were supposed to launch it at 12.
Exactly.
You know, you could schedule all that to go, which leaves you free to engage.
Exactly. And people are in different time zones. Like, I manage here in Canada. Even in Canada alone, people in the East are up earlier and obviously offline earlier, whereas people in the West haven't even woken up yet. So I have to also keep in mind that a lot of these messages have to be duplicated for both East and West.
That's right.
So again, I can't be online all day, every day if I don't have anyone at West.
So how many times do you tweet out good morning?
Usually only twice.
Just twice.
It'll be, you know, good morning to the East and good morning to the West. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I don't think it should be abolished. You know, I love the Hootsuite for that reason.
Yeah.
That I am able to do those sort of things, but yeah, to the people that are hating on it, I'm like, you need to put yourself in a position where you're managing a social strategy for a company.
I think so.
And then tell me if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
And that's really, a lot of the people that are hating on it and knocking it are probably not in a position where they're managing it on a day-to-day basis
for other brands. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I want to talk about ROI.
Yes.
And what does ROI mean to Flight Centre? And how do you achieve that?
Well, I have a sort of a blogger outreach program, if you will, where I will work with people, and let's say they go on a trip and they want to write for us. And I say, you know what, that's awesome. So if we're going to, you know, give them a gift card or something towards their trip, or even send them on the trip for free, I want to know that I'm going to get content out of that, so that now we have things that we can post on our blogs and our social channels. And to me, getting that content is definitely a return on investment. But, you know, there's obviously other situations where maybe Flight Centre will host a tweet up, or, you know, and a lot of people might think, well, where's the ROI on holding a tweet up? And what I like to do is try and do an engaging contest at that tweet up, where people have to actually, at the tweet up, tweet a phrase or something with, you know, Flight Centre in the tag. And, you know, I don't even force them to like us. I just say, mention us in this thing if you want to win this. And suddenly we're getting people talking about it, and their networks are seeing them talk about our brand. So to me, that means a lot, because they are spreading our name and our network to their networks. And they're saying, you know, look at this brand that's, you know, being involved in the community. So it's definitely been great, because I've had people come approach me after asking questions saying, you know, hey, I'm looking to book a trip. Can you help me out here? You know, people DM me all the time. They message me personally on Facebook all the time asking questions about, you know, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. And it's awesome, because, you know, for them to feel like they can connect with me personally is awesome. And I'm always happy to help direct them to the right people, because they know I'm kind of the epicenter of, I know what department you need to go to and who you should talk to. Like, oh, you're going here, you need to talk to this person. They've been there, they've done that, you know, they have tons of tips. Not only can they book you on that trip, but like, they can tell you what it was like. I know that person's been there. So it's kind of cool, the position I'm in, to be able to get to know the employees and find out where they've traveled, but also get to know the customers and find out where they want to go. And then I can kind of be like, you do this, you do that. So to me, that's like, it's an awesome return on investment, because I'm now, you know, able to pair people up, and I know that person's going to have a great experience booking that trip with that person, because you know, they've been there. So
is there so it's all, you know, it's all earned media that you're obtaining, and is there ever a dollar figure on that, or is there like some data that you show saying, okay, based on, you know, what we've done, here's kind of what we've achieved?
Well, I had to basically put together at the beginning of the year sort of social media strategy for the year for the various brands, and I had to, you know, ask for money and a budget on what I wanted to spend with each brand, not just through Facebook advertising, but blogger outreach and being able to do contesting and all that sort of stuff. So I basically just had to put together, and the marketing team was really open to hearing fresh new ideas, and they said, you know, whatever you want to do, put it into an Excel sheet, tell me what you want to get out of it, how much money you want for it, and you know how you're going to execute it, and then we'll approve it. And a lot of the things I've thrown their way, they've been, yeah, no problem. Yeah, as long as you, the thing is, like, it's one thing to just ask for the money, but if you can say what you're going to do with it and have a plan, it looks better to them, because they're like, you know what, she knows what she's doing, she's got this, let's do it. Yeah, nice. And then at the end, I do a follow-up, and I say, you know, here's what we got out of it. We got X amount of new followers. We got this much content. We got, you know, this sort of brand ambassador out of it, or whatnot. So it's great. I always do a follow-up report for sure.
And so all these outreach events, you've put something together called Toronto Travel Massive.
Yes.
Talk about that. What is it? How long has it been around? What's going on with
We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary actually this month,
awesome.
August. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So I co-founded that with a girl named Mary Ellen. She's also a travel blogger here in Toronto. And basically, when I was living in Australia, someone tweeted me saying, hey, I noticed you're in Sydney. They were Canadian that followed me on Twitter, and they go, you know, there's this meetup you should come to. It was at this random bar in Sydney, Scary Canary, I'll never forget it. Yeah. And he goes, come to this meetup tomorrow. And I'm like,
sure.
A, I've never been to a tweet up, let alone on the other side of the world. And I was like, what have I got to lose? So I show up at this bar. It's like 7 o'clock at night. It's a sketchy little like hostel type bar, and there's, you know, this group of people, and I only know this guy from his profile picture, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I was like, Graham? He's like, Alicia! And then he introduced me to all these people, and it was a mix of people that were travel bloggers. Some of them worked in the travel industry, some of them had startups, and they were all there, and it was such an amazing night of just exchanging ideas and business cards and networking, and I got so much out of that night that when I came back to Canada, I was like, I need to start one of those here.
Oh, wow.
And so I met Mary Ellen, and her and I, you know, instantly were like, she's like, I read your blog about that whole experience. And at the same time, we were like, let's start one in Toronto. So we originally called the Toronto Travel Tribe because of the Sydney Travel Tribe.
Sure.
Long story short, there was a company in the US who said we can't have Travel Tribe. You can't take that name.
You got that
even though we're a non-for-profit meetup.
Yeah.
So we changed our name to the Travel Massive, and there's now, there's well over 22 cities around the world now that have these meetups. Oh, wow. And you can go to travelmassive.com to find out, you know, if there's a meetup happening when you're visiting that city. But you can even, let's say you're there and they're not having a meetup during the time you're there, you can just connect with the organizers and meet up with them and have a beer and just chat. And it's awesome. I've gone to the San Francisco one, the Sydney one. There was one in Brisbane. I'm about to go to one in London when I'm there in a couple weeks, and it's awesome.
Is this something that you started?
Well, I started the Toronto branch,
okay.
But I've been a big part in sort of the global growth of it with Ian, who is, you know, the guy who sort of started it up in Australia.
Okay.
And so we've kind of taken it more to a global level now. We're helping new cities start theirs, and people come to me at events and they're like, I want to start one in LA, I want to start one in San Diego, I want to do here. And so I just answer their questions, you know, of all the things I learned over the 2 years of doing it. And it's a monthly meetup for people in the travel industry, travel bloggers, writers, photographers, to just network and meet up. And it's awesome because we have tons of sponsors now that are interested in working with bloggers and connecting with them. So we actually have our one coming up this month is with Visit Florida. So Florida Tourism is basically, they're flying a whole bunch of people up to just come and network and meet with these Toronto, you know, bloggers. But we've worked with so many amazing brands like Intrepid Travel, G Adventures. We've worked with hotels. We've worked with even hostels. And, you know, the sponsorship can be as little as giving us a place to have an actual meetup.
Yeah.
Or it can range to, you know, you want to do a presentation on your blogger outreach program and how you would like to work with them and give away some prizes of, you know, things you might have kicking around in your office or initiatives. So it's been great. Yeah, it's I never knew when I started it 2 years ago that it would have grown into the community it is today, but it's such an amazing supportive community. You know, there's people who have been blogging for years that will come and they'll chat with someone who's just thinking about starting up a blog. And they just sit there and they network and chat and exchange business cards, and you know, these friendships are being formed at these meetups, and some people even find travel partners and they go and travel with these people after. So it's really cool.
That's very interesting. And so I'm very curious about a couple of things. Number one, the importance of blogger outreach for all of these brands, and of course for where you work as well. Why is that important, and what is it that bloggers do that brands like yourself are very interested in?
For one, I think blogging isn't just writing.
Sure.
It is now content creation. So a lot of bloggers are also taking photos and being sort of photographers, even if it's through Instagram and adding a nice filter. They're creating visuals. They're creating video content. They're creating content outside of just writing. So they're able to even just live update when they're on location. A blogger will find Wi-Fi. They will find it. No matter where they are in the world, they will find the Wi-Fi, and they'll give live updates and let people know, you know, how awesome it is and all the experiences that they're doing. And you just can't always get that when you work at a brand, because a lot of the times when you work for a brand, you're stuck in an office and you only get to travel once in a while, and you know, you're curating content that's already on the internet. So to be able to outreach to them, for one, you get tons of amazing content out of it, and you can work with them on creating content and specializing it for what you need. And then number two is just a lot of them have really great networks, and a lot of people value what bloggers have to say about a destination or a company. So everything's word of mouth now, especially with travel.
Sure.
You have a friend come back from a trip and they upload a Facebook album. You're most likely, now that you've seen that destination, that's now in the top of your mind. If you're thinking about going to that destination in the future, you're going to contact that friend and say, hey, I'm curious, where did you stay? How was your experience? You know, you're going to follow up and you want to know from your friend's perspective what it was like to be there. That's kind of like a blogger. A blogger is like your friend. That you can just ask questions, and they're willing to sit there and answer people's questions. They're kind of like community managers in a way, where, you know, and a lot of the time they're doing a lot of that crap for free, but they're growing this really engaged fan base. And that's the thing I think that I'm really attracted to, is the fact that they have such engaged you know, fan bases, but they also prove themselves to be good brand ambassadors. So I know that when I send them out on a trip, or, you know, they're already on a trip and I know I'm getting content from it, that they're going to represent our company well, or, you know, whatever brand it is that they're working with. So yeah, I think that's a huge thing, is their network and their ability to take it seriously. You know, a lot of people think travel bloggers just travel the world and tweet and blog, but you know, a lot of the times people don't realize when you're in a destination, you get to chill at the end of your day and go to bed or drink at the bar. A blogger goes back to their hotel room, they back up all their footage, they upload all their things, they start editing stuff, they start writing, and they have content up sometimes that night. You know, it's not really a job where you can just chill and 3 months later post your content in a magazine like travel writers do. So it's a whole new, and I have a lot of respect for people that do that, because they pull a lot of hours doing what they do, and they're on the airplanes working too. Like even I myself, I'm like, the airplane is like the best office ever. I just sit there and just hammer out so much stuff. So yeah, people get inspiration in the best places.
So how do you, you know, as a traveler yourself now, you know, balance that, you know, that fine balance of, you know, unplugging and unwinding and enjoying the moment and enjoying the experience, and then whether it's called turning on or turning off, and, you know, working, so to speak. You know, whether it's you're working for the company or whether you're quote unquote working in terms of you're creating all this content at the end of the day or whatever. How do you balance that?
So basically, I will, let's say I'm going on a tour. I will arrange, you know, certain days that maybe I come in a day earlier, or I stay a day later than the actual time I need to be there, and that'll just be me day, where I just do my own thing, what I want to do. I see the city the way I want to see it. So putting in those extra days on work trips is great, but also even things like getting up early and doing my own thing before I need to start my conference or my whatever. Like in India, I remember I woke up super early. I found out the manager of the hotel we were staying at, he walks up to this mountain, which is about a 15-20 minute walk from our hotel. Every morning at like 5 a.m. he walks and he goes up and he watches the sunrise at the top of this mountain, and then he walks down and starts his day. And so he was mentioning that, and I was like, can I come with you tomorrow morning? Like, we have stuff to do at 9, but like, dude, we'll be up and back before people even wake up. And so I went with him, and you know, we walked up to the top, and I remember like walking up this mountain at like 6 a.m. being like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this was a stupid idea. Then I got to the top and I just sat there and I just chilled, and I had like a solid hour to just take it in, to just soak it, and like the city came alive, the lights went down, the sun came up, and it was just one of those moments that I'm like, nothing could ever, and I set up my camera to do like a time lapse, and I knew that it was recording and I could just chill and sit there. So there really wasn't anything for me to do in that moment because I knew it was being captured, but I didn't have to be like constantly working behind the lens. So there's
scheduling.
Yeah, I guess, like scheduling. Yeah, but yeah, it's important to put those days in there, and then also it's also like, I'm not connected to internet 24/7. You know, there's times where you travel and there is no internet, so I just document, and then I know that later when I do have internet, I'll upload the content then. If there's no rush to have it actually. People aren't going to know that I'm at the Taj Mahal right this very second if an hour later say I'm at the Taj Mahal. No one's going to call me out on me actually not being there in that moment, unless, you know, there's a natural disaster or something happened, or, you know, a celebrity was there or whatever. So.
Interesting. So you represent a bunch of brands besides just Flight Center. I'm curious about, you know, your different voices and sort of different messages that you have. And how do you manage that sort of thing?
Well, first I work with the brand managers to find out, you know, who are their audiences, who are their number one customers, what are their age demographics, and then from there I can kind of create the content. So for my adventure store, the adventure brand, it's kind of one of my favorite brands to work on because I am an adventure traveler, so I love working with that brand because I just, you know, post photos and videos that are all about adventure travel, and I get to chat and work with adventure travel bloggers. So to me, that I'm like, oh, your demographic is me, so this is awesome. So I'm just going to post things I like. For Cruise About, that's a bit of an older demographic. It's a lot of families that go on cruises, or it's more older people that you know, are, some of them are retired, you know, and they're chilling. They just want to take a cruise and see the world, you know, unpack once. So I, you know, will have to put on that, and I don't know what it's like to be 60. I'm not going to pretend like, hello. So I just do a lot of research of what are other, you know, cruise companies doing? How are they working? You know, they have millions of followers. What are they doing on their Facebook fan page? And I look at what our suppliers are doing and what our competitors are doing and how they're interacting with our same, you know, customer, and kind of compete on that level. And then the Go Volunteering brand is one of the newer ones now, and that's, you know, a type of traveler who wants to give back while they travel. You know, they know that this destination is amazing, but, you know, they want to go into that local community and they want to make sure that they're able to leave a bit of a footprint or educate themselves on it. So a lot of it is just education.
That's interesting.
And educating our audience. So
cool. I mean, there's a million things that I could talk about, but I'm very curious on what you guys are doing with, I guess, Facebook ads and promoted tweets and things of that nature. How valuable is that? How important are those things to you guys?
Well, I usually do promoted tweets if we have special like social savers where they're kind of one-day sales just for our Facebook community. So if I'm going to put up a post about that, I'm going to promote it, knowing that I want as many people as possible to see that. That, you know, if you join our community, you get access to these exclusive deals that nobody else does. So in that situation, we do that definitely at least once a month. But sometimes we'll just, you know, promote things that, again, have to do with our campaigns. So I want to get people talking about this destination. I want it to show up in their news feed. So promoted posts is something new that we've been doing. And now Facebook is coming out with these new coupon things now,
Yes.
which isn't, I don't know if it's available in Canada yet, but I've been chatting with the Facebook team and being like, what is this? I'm kind of interested to know. So that could be an avenue to go down. But even just sponsored stories, having people know that their friend likes our page kind of helps legitimize the brand a bit. So we do hold value in that, and we make sure that we have a monthly budget to have those things in place. And I definitely think it's valuable, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia, for your time. Really appreciate it. Where can people find you online, and how can they follow you, like you, all those sort of stuff?
So me personally, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Tagio. I also have a website called My Life Untethered, where I basically just update you on where I am in the world and what projects I'm working on or where I'll be next. And then you can follow Flight Center at Flight Center CA on Twitter, or you can go to facebook.com/FlightCenterCA. But you can also connect with the global Flight Center brand, which is Flight_Center. If you're interested in adventure travel, check out My Adventure Store. And if you're interested in cruising, check out Cruise About Canada. And if you're interested in volunteering, go volunteering. It's a new brand. They just turned 1 year old. It's really, really exciting. And the fan base is growing. Like, they have 6,000 followers in a year, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we're really excited about that brand.
Good stuff. Well, all the best with what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And you guys know that I'm big fans of what it is that you do. And thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Karim Kanji. You can follow me on Twitter at Karim Kanji. And please like this video if you enjoyed the conversation. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/xconnecttv, and you can find all our content on xconnectto.com. Thank you.